Right now, there are millions of songs sitting on Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube with nothing. There's no video, no visual, just static cover art images. And a huge chunk of those aren't even new releases. They're catalog tracks, songs from like 2015, 2018, 1997, songs that still get streamed. They still show up on playlists. They still have fans, but they've never had a visual because when they came out, nobody was going to spend $2,000 on a music video for a deep cut. The math has completely changed. With AI, you could create professional looking visualizer for a catalog track in minutes, not hours, not a weekend project, minutes. And when you multiply that across a catalog of 100, 500, or thousands, you're turning dormant music into content that drives streams, gets discovered on YouTube, and actually earns revenue from the songs that were just sitting there. So today, I'm going to show you how to create visualizers for catalog music across different genres and moods. I'm keeping the prompts dead simple on purpose. I want you to see how little it takes to get a result that looks like it had a creative team behind it. Whether you're an artist with a back catalog collecting dust, or you work with artists and you're sitting on thousands of songs with no visuals, this is the session that changes how you think about your old music. So let's get into it. Here are going to be a couple examples of videos that you can use to put up on YouTube to help monetize that music. Okay. Look, catalog music today, it's growing. It's not shrinking. Older music share, okay, think about it, of total streaming is climbing year over year. Labels and distributors and artists are seeing catalog as a major revenue driver, but only if people can actually find and engage with those tracks. Okay. The algorithms literally pretty much you are invisible to the algorithms if you don't have visuals to go along with your music. A visualizer on YouTube is the simplest way to give an old song a new surface area for discovery. So what do I mean by some of these visualizers? There's so many different ways that you could visualize music. I'm just going to show you a couple examples that we have here. Okay. So here's one that I pop up. This is a visual to go along with like a vibe for a song that's quiet, acoustic, and you can see it's like by the campfire, open road, kind of gives you that feel, right? So if your song matches this types of vibe, this is an example of what that can look like, right? Or if I pull up another one, like you can see here, like an electronic dance music concert, live on stage, this kind of gives you this feel, this vibe with the music dancing and pumped up. You could have this looping on a video on YouTube. You could see that on a big screen, right? Or here's another one, right? This is a moody R&B visualizer. We added some context in there, floating in space. So this kind of gives you the vibe that this particular song wants to portray for it and kind of floating, right? R&B and soul. So, all right. So again, you could give different vibes. If space isn't the vibe that you want to give with some of the music and maybe it's a different type of environment like a jazz club, you could do that. Or like if you're a country singer or you got a country song, I mean, check out this example visual, right? You've got the guitar, you've got the lyrics on the paper, right? You could see the records and the vinyls that are sitting on the floor. This just kind of gives you that different vibe and feel that you have for the music. You could just imagine your music playing it. It's, again, this isn't to replace a music video, okay? This is like, imagine on a big screen TV, somebody puts on YouTube or they have it on their phone. Like, do you want them staring at an album cover artwork only? No motion? Or would you like some sort of visual that helps give them the vibe of a particular song, okay? And so I'll pull up another one. Here's another one. Again, another one for like a moody R&B type visualizer. Super simple. This is just something that play in the background. Now, this could be with a character. It could be someone made up. It could be you. You could place yourself inside of these scenes, okay? The options are limitless, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to try to make a couple of these live, okay? And I want to show you how simple it is, okay? It doesn't matter if you barely have any budget and you're an artist and you need to get a visualizer, like today with the tools that we have at hand, you can make this. And again, when you have a massive catalog, there's no reason you can't create visuals like these across an entire catalog. Let's kind of start with like an R&B track, all right? R&B, soul type of thing. So if I'm kind of thinking about R&B and soul, it could be something that's like late at night. It could be like an intimate setting. Maybe it's smoky, it's warmth. I don't know. We can kind of think about it, but I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to put like a dimly lit lounge with red velvet booths and maybe some candle lighting. What do you guys think, right? So a dimly lit lounge with red velvet booths, you know, this could give you like a vibe for like an R&B. Now, do I want people in here? I don't know. Let's just say like no people. A lot of these visualizers, I like to avoid putting people unless you want to. It just depends on the vibe that you're going with. So in this case, I'm going to say no people. Now, we have all these settings, okay? This will be for later. I'll show you a couple of those examples. I just want to show you that you could just type whatever you want. Let's start there. All right, think about something from your imagination. What do you want? Drop it in there. I don't need to put the artist name because we're not going to add names and titles inside of these videos, okay? So now when I scroll down here on the left navigation bar, you're going to get a couple options, okay? Now, one is what is the image generation model you want to use to be able to create the scene for this video, okay? Because what we do is we generate the scene first and then generate the video, but that all happens on our back end. You could just go with our defaults. It's going to look great. But if you want to go advanced and you want to dig deeper, you can look at the other AI models that we have access to, like Nano Banana Pro, GPT Image 1.5. This is going to be where you experiment and see which one gives you the better vibe that matches towards the tone that you're looking for. All this is subjective. These are all great models, okay? But Nano Banana 2 on its own is probably one of the best ones out there, so it's a good standard to give it a shot. The image quality, now look, if you're just experimenting, you don't need to go super high res, but if you know that this is probably going to be your final output, you want to go to a higher quality, like a 2K or 4K quality. For these drafts that I'm doing, I'm going to go ahead and use 1K so that I can kind of show you what these look like. The video generation model, okay, this here is going to let you, just like I talked about the image model, pick a video model to use to create the video content. VO 3.1 gives you more motion, or just overall, you'll see a lot of better scenes without having to know how to prompt too well. So if you're not great at prompting and you don't know exactly what you want and how you're going to set it up, stick to Google VO 3.1, because Luma and Runway, it's much harder to get the results that you want in this manner. So I just recommend going with VO 3.1, but artistically, there's other things that you could do with Luma or with Runway that are pretty interesting. Today's session, we're going to stick with Google VO 3.1. And in this case, we're going to go with fast. All right. Sorry, with Flash. Now, Flash is just, again, it's going to be still great quality, but it's going to happen a lot faster. So if you need a lot more accuracy, you could go with just 3.1. It'll just take a little bit longer. All right. So now I've got that. I've got my video duration. It's 8 seconds long. And most of you don't need audio generation because you're going to put your music in the background. But I'm going to let it generate audio because I don't have a song to play with this. So I'm just going to see what it comes out with. And I'm going to choose a 16:9 aspect ratio. All right. So let's go ahead and generate the first video. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in and we're going to try maybe a couple other different genres. And by the way, if you've got a genre that you want me to try in here, just go ahead and drop it in the chat. So let's try something with maybe like a Latin reggaeton type vibe or something like that, or something with like urban setting or something like that. An empty basketball court at night with fog and one floodlight, right? Let's just see what that comes up with. Okay. Because remember, you could go as detailed as you want to get the exact type of imagery that you want, or we can keep it simple, which is what I'm showing you here. So now we've got two different videos generating. For our Latin reggaeton version, let's see. Let's try another one so we can see Latin reggaeton. So the one that's generating the empty basketball court, that's for like hip hop, rap, something like that. Again, there's like 1,000 different ways you can go, and you can actually do something that ties more towards your song. But right now, I just want to show you how to get just general vibes and moods based on the genre. Okay, we're not going deep into what the lyrics mean and that. I've covered that in other sessions. We can do that, but I want to show you just some simple stuff. So in this one, rooftop at sunset in a Caribbean city with string lights, no people. So this would be an example of and you know what, you could say a Caribbean city, but you know, if you want to be specific, like you could say a Caribbean city, or you could say like in Puerto Rico or something like that. But I'll leave it Caribbean so you can see what it looks like. But if you know your music's tied to a certain city or country, go ahead and drop that in here. All my settings are already saved because I'm still generating. I haven't refreshed or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and hit generate on this one as well. All right. So now we have 3 different videos generating. Okay, we've got our R&B and soul track. We've got one for hip hop and rap. And then the third one that we just generated was for a Latin reggaeton type vibe and energy. Okay, so you guys remember the first one that I said, okay? It was a dimly lit lounge. This was for like an R&B soul. Let's see what it came up with. Here it is right here. Look at that. So again, I think I put in there no people. Yep, here's the prompt. A dimly lit lounge with red velvet booths and candle lighting, no people. So by the way, I just realized I did not put in the prompt that this was a R&B and soul song. So this kind of did a little more on the jazz side versus R&B, but you could tell the vibe, right? You could see the vibe kind of goes with the music and the example that it's playing here. All right. But you hear that now? Hope you heard that? And anybody else, please go ahead, drop in the chat. Just want to make sure y'all can hear the music. You hear the audio. I mean, now I'm not playing it, but I think you get the point. So this was the first one generated. This is how you can get a scene. You can loop it. You can add a fade in, fade out. Remember, you don't need multiple scenes in these types of visualizers we're talking about. You can. You could do different cuts of the same room, the environment, the same tone, the mood, and have that playing. The second one we did was the empty basketball court at night. This could go along with like a hip hop rap song. Again, it can go with other genres as well, but this was the intent with this one. Again, I did not put the genre of the song in here. That would have been a nice ad so you can hear the music, but let's just see what it came up with. So you could see with this particular visualizer, all right, we did not describe a motion or animation or anything like that of exactly what to do, but you could see you got the one floodlight on, you got the smoke moving in. Again, you want this static, you want it playing in the background, you can have it on a loop, okay? And again, you can add a fade in, fade out with that inside of visuals using our video editor. But for now, we're trying to just figure out and get these clips out, okay? So here's one, you've got one track. Let's look at the next one that popped up, all right? This was for like a Caribbean vibe. Look at that, reggae, Jamaica. Now look, I wasn't specific. I could choose a specific city, a location. You see, what's great about this, right, when you think about visuals, sometimes you have an idea of what you want and sometimes you don't, okay? In this case, we said, hey, a rooftop at sunset in a Caribbean city with string lights, no people. Okay, but I could have put anything. It doesn't have to be so specific. And not only that, but this prompt could have been, 5 paragraphs long because you wanted to be very detailed with how you wanted this to look like. But already you could see just the vibe and, you're just like listening to it and seeing, right? I want to eat there, go to this cafe. So again, tie some visual to your music. But you as the artist or the record label, or if you work with a lot of artists and you're trying to create content for them, these are monetizable assets, okay? When we talk about these visualizers, you put them up on YouTube. There are thousands of cases of visuals that are super simple, but yet can generate millions and millions of streams, okay? I don't want anybody to sit there with 0 streams. That's why we do this, right? That's super important. Let's take that back catalog. Let's bring it out. Let's try a couple more, okay? Let's say, for example, like an electronic dance song, right? And I'll say an empty warehouse with colored lights cutting through haze, okay? So let's see what this one gives me. And maybe I'll put, this is for an electronic song. So we'll give it a shot, put this in there. Now, when you're prompting, it's good to give it context so it knows what you need it for. I added that tidbit about the electronic dance song because I wanted to generate the audio in the background so I could show you an example of what it sounds like, okay? But again, don't waste your credits on audio if you are the musician or the label. Why? Because you already have the music. You're not going to, we don't need to generate the music, okay? We're using this to create the sound effects because we need to just see a quick demo. But again, for you, I really recommend you don't need the audio. You can use it if you need to. Again, with VO 3.1, you could do talking voices, you could do scenes. I mean, you could do a lot more, but right now I'm really focused on showing you visualizers because we want to help you to monetize your back catalog. That is super important. And this is a way to do that. Maybe we could do something for like a pop ballad. I'm thinking a grand piano sitting in the middle of a still lake at dusk. What do you think? If you had something like a pop ballad with a grand piano, all right? So I'll put that in there. Maybe another one that we could do, how about like Afrobeats? Okay, let's try something for like an Afrobeats track or something like that. A colorful outdoor market with fabrics blowing in the wind at golden hour. No people. I'm taking out people because a lot of times people don't want to have people inside their videos. So let's just get rid of it. But you got to tell the AI, okay? You got to tell visuals. You got to tell us like, hey, I want people. I don't want people, okay? So we got that. Again, I don't have to configure the settings again because we have VO 3.1 flash, 8 seconds long. I'm going to go ahead and hit generate. We should do another genre. Let's say like an alternative rock. How about that one, right? A dive bar stage with amps and tangled cables lit by a single red bulb. Let's try that. Let's see what that looks like, right? Anybody do indie folk music or acoustic or something like that we could try? A wildflower field at golden hour with a guitar leaning against a fence. That's an example of something we could do for something like that, right? So I picked the wrong aspect ratio. Well, that's okay. We could see it. I guess I didn't change it here, did I? Yeah, I left it at 9:16 aspect ratio. That's okay. So again, these visualizers, they can work again for YouTube, or this is great for Spotify Canvas as well, 9:16 aspect ratio also, or you can use it for social media like TikTok, Instagram. But again, a lot of these monetizable visuals that I'm thinking about for today is going to be what you're going to put like on YouTube and those platforms, which would be a 16:9. But these also work for like YouTube Shorts and you can populate those on there, okay? Now, if you remember this one, this was for the electronic dance song. Now check out this scene and this vibe. Right? You've got this huge empty warehouse with the lights. I mean, what do you think about this one? Did this one work? Did we kind of capture the vibe for electronic dance track? And there's the music. I forgot to put that. There you go. So we got that one. Let's see the other one. I mean, just think about it, right? It's a grand piano sitting right in the middle of a still lake. It's dusk. I mean, just think about the mood and the vibe of somebody listening to this song, okay? Look, the algorithms will skip your song without visuals. You need something, okay? And you may not know which is the one that's going to work the best, but you've got to put something out there to represent the song. So take the old songs, take your catalog, take a new release, drop it in here, okay? And in this case, give them a visual to look at it, okay? This will stop a scroll. Why? What is a piano doing in the middle of a lake floating on this wood deck? Okay, that's one. And then they're listening to the music. So you have two factors of it. One, then once they see this, it stops them to scroll, and then they get to enjoy the soothing vibe of the song, which helps for discovery. This works great for TikTok. But you know what? This also works great for YouTube, because what do we do when we listen to music on YouTube? We put it on our laptop, our phone, or we throw it up on a TV screen at a party, and we just let the playlist loop. Okay. And that's what you want. You want to have the visuals that can go along with it in these different settings when people are consuming music. Check this out. This one was a Afrobeats type track. So you got a colorful outdoor market with fabrics blowing in the wind at golden hour, no people. You see? Look at this, right? Check out this vibe. So let's see if the audio is playing. Okay, the wind. So in this case, I didn't put that it was an Afrobeat song, so obviously it wouldn't know. But this gives you an idea of a visual that could be made for a track like that one. All right, so if you're sitting on old catalog and maybe you've got like a rock type or alternative song, let's drop it in here. I mean, you could imagine something like this looping in the background. Again, drop this into like YouTube, playing your song. Here you go. You've got like this, alternative like stage vibe instead of a dive bar. Perfect. So let's see if the other one's ready. Indie folk acoustic type vibe, right? Let's try it out. And there you go. So we are taking music and we're trying to represent it. Now, I prepared these in advance because I wanted to make sure I could show you examples of what you can do with music, okay? But you know your song, you know your music the best, and you know the vibe that you want to give it. You don't need to go detail. You can call it a wildflower fueled at a golden hour. You could say something like that. You could say, hey, I just need something in a dive bar, or hey, I want the mood to represent my song that's a, electronic dance beat, and that I envision somebody watching on a TV screen. Like, again, you don't know. If you don't know, it's okay. You could keep your prompt super simple, right? And see what it is. So you can give it as much detail as you want because you want to control the entire experience, or you can start with short prompts to see what you get. Let's just say I don't know what I want inside of a song, okay? I don't know. I just want to figure something out. Well, we could try a couple things, okay? I'm going to try one here. Now, one thing you could do is upload your song. Okay, I think I've shown you guys this in the past, right? You could pick a song that you have in your library, drop it in here, and let's say if I think I did this one in one of the last sessions, but I'll just go ahead and pick this one again. So it's called Can I See You by John. When you select a song, we automatically create a prompt. We select the genre, we select the mood. You can see how it's populating here, and then we draft what the prompt is going to be. And so you can see here, it's a dynamic medium energy canvas video for a pop music reflective and sad, tender mood. Features vibrant colors, geometric patterns, and pulsing visual elements optimized for vertical 9:16 aspect ratio. Now, I don't want it to be optimized for that, so I'm just going to get rid of that, okay? Because we're going to do it for YouTube. So I'm going to go down here and update this to a 16:9 aspect ratio, okay? Again, we don't really need audio generation. I'm going to skip it. I'm actually selecting my song here. So we've got the mood, we've got the genre. It's selected it for me, but you could change this yourself if you wanted to change what this would look like. But let's see what it came up with, okay? So again, you can either put a super simple prompt, or you can upload your music. We analyze the music with AI to understand everything about it, the beat, the tone. We transcribe the lyrics so we understand what the song is about, and then we could put together a draft. Now, this gives you a high level based on the mood, okay? This didn't go detail about the song, okay? But we have a prompt writer. So if you click this button after you're done, it should take into consideration the lyrics to come up with a visualizer for your music, okay? And so we can see what this does here. And then the next thing I'll show you is how we could just do even simpler prompts without knowing exactly what we want in the visual and see what visuals will come up with for me. So here you can see it went more in detail. Create an abstract room to sky emotional journey using geometric forms that behave like feelings. The approach, hesitate, overlap, and drift apart. Because again, this is part of what the song is, right? echoing the lyrics about catching a glance, moonlight shimmer, and where the stars collide. No literal characters needed. Let the geometry imply presence and connection. Look, this really detailed. I didn't have to make this up. Our system did that for you. So why don't we just go ahead and let it create it, right? Let's just give it a shot and see what it comes up with. So I'll let that ride. I'll click generate. There we go. All right. So now we've got the version that was just the first draft that it came up with, just based on some of the like mood and genre. Then the second version was we actually took the lyrics to create these visualizers so we could create something for YouTube. We're going to let those run. But for those of you who join us, you know that I love to keep jumping in, jumping around. And so I want to keep making more videos so you can see them, okay? Because I want to make sure you guys can see a lot of different versions. So what I want to try now, let's just say you don't know what you want. You didn't upload your song. You just want to make up something, right? In this case, let's just say, let's do something for like alternative rock. Okay, type of grunge feel. A visual to go with this song vibe that's raw, moody, loud guitars, analog feel. So if you see what I'm doing, I don't know what the visual is going to be, okay? But I know the vibe is raw, it's moody, it's loud guitars, analog feel, okay? Because if that's my song, I can tell you what that looks like, right? I have this thing, I know what my song's all about, okay? So you put that in there. Choose the AI model, fantastic. So 1K VO, 8 seconds long. And let me just turn this off, we don't need it. Generate. So I'm doing a visual, this is what it is. I can do another one. Maybe I just take out the song's vibe so we could just replace it with something like, I don't know, what can we do? Like quiet morning, gentle strings, wide open space, okay? So maybe that's kind of like the mood that I'm feeling. I don't know what it's going to come up with, but this is the visual that we want it to come up with. This could be for something like a indie folk, acoustic type music, or another genre if it lends itself to it. We'll go ahead and hit generate. Maybe I want another one with a hip hop rap song vibe, no people. Let's say after hours mood, velvet vocals. Maybe the song is slow and warm. Let me put in here like a visual to go with after hours mood, velvet vocal. Did I say velvet? Yeah. Okay. We'll keep it like that. All right. Let me make sure I change to landscape. I don't think I did on some of the other ones. And then I'll hit generate. Let's check out a couple options that we've got here while these are in the making. All right. So these I already showed you. Let's see this one. This was based on, again, just the elements that came from the song. This wasn't the rewritten based on lyrics. You see? What are we doing here? A dynamic medium energy canvas video for pop music, reflective and sad and tender mood. Okay? Features vibrant colors, geometric patterns, and pulsing visual elements with smooth looping animation, professional quality with engaging visual storytelling that enhances the listening experience. I mean, what do you guys think about this? I mean, look at the heart. It's pulsating. It came up with these visuals. So you have visuals and visualizers that could represent like real scenes, but then there's like these types of visuals, right? They're more like 3D rendered and animated and in just a different way. And again, you could go in so many different directions, but this kind of shows you the different types of vibes you can go with. All right, I love that one. We got another one. So now, if you remember the other one that we came up with, it had a very detailed breakdown of the prompt, okay? And if you see here in the thumbnail, okay, I don't want to hover but you could see that it's kind of showing all the different scenes of what's going to happen, because our image generator could generate multiple scenes to help the video generator do that. So let's see what that looks like. Check that out. So again, this one's a lot more detailed. It's still got the energy, but you could see that this one went in a lot more detail to come up with this type of vibe. So you see these visuals, you see them, see how they work. Just remember, right? When you think about visualizers, they don't need to be complicated in the sense that, just think about it, they're not music videos, okay? It's not there to fully tell a story, okay? It's a visual atmosphere that matches the feeling of the song. Okay. And it gives the listeners something to watch. That's it. It's a great scene, good motion, looped with the audio behind it. Okay. The second thing to think about is that YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world. So if your song doesn't have a video on YouTube, it doesn't exist there. And a visualizer, even a simple one, means that when someone searches the song title, something shows up. And that's the difference between being discoverable and being invisible. All right, let's see what the next one came up with. And there you go. Let me see. So in this one, I didn't say no people, so it put someone in the scene. She's got the violin, but the prompt was very simple. A visual to go with this song, vibe, quiet morning, gentle strings, wide open space. I think we accomplished that, okay? And so you could see this works for different vibes, different music. It could be kind of slow. It could be ballad, alternative, or symphonic. It just depends on what the vibe is of the music. So here's the one that we did with I think this was like the alternative rock track. Let's see what this looks like. So again, this one did vertical. It's because I forgot to select 16:9, but that's okay because you could do vertical. You could do landscape videos. These will work great for YouTube shorts, or they could be loops inside of a video. And so again, this one just said a mood to go with the song's vibe. That's raw, moody, loud guitars, and analog feel. Nowhere did we describe that it was a concert with a band performing with the audience and the crowd behind them. This is just what we came up with, okay? Because I wanted to see what that would look like. Next one up. I think this was for a hip hop track. I mean, just check this out. You got the sneakers right there. You got the graffiti walls. You got the stereo system right there. Again, we could have described the vibe in so many different ways. It just depends on what kind of hip hop song or that you're putting out there, right? There's a visual to go with everything. And every song could have a unique visual to go with that particular song. In the end, you got to figure out the mood that you want your fans, or if you work at a label and you've got an entire catalog, what is the mood of the people that potentially are going to listen to the music? We can come up with it for you inside of our platform, or you can come up with the ideas on your own and just draft simple prompts. Look at this one. A visual to go with after hours mood, velvet vocals, maybe the song is slow and warm. I mean, look at this capturing it, right? And again, I didn't put no people, so it's showing a person singing. You've got the people in the background. You've got the grand piano. So let's go ahead and swap the person. I want to see what that looks like, okay? Inside of visuals, we have a way where you could remix these videos. So maybe you're like, you know what? I love this vibe. I want to put myself in it, or, you know, or your artist or something like that. And you want to put them in here performing, or you want to change the character. Maybe you're just like, yeah, I love the vibe, but I want a different person who's singing the song. You could do that, right? So let's just give it a shot. You're going to come over here and you're going to say remix. Okay. Now, what I want to do first is I want to nail who the character is. So I'm going to turn it into an image. Now, I apologize. This says album cover. It's going to be changed very shortly. It's going to say images. So I'm going to say remix it. We're going to generate another image for this scene. Now, I don't know if you saw what I just did. I'm taking a video and I'm going to remix it. But first, I want to come up with the image, because I could remix a video into another image, another video, and you have that flexibility to do so. Now, for this person, what I could do is I've got this person here as a character, and I can go into multi-image mode. I want to put her singing inside of this video, okay? Let's see what that looks like. They're two completely different people, but I want to show you what we could do. So I've got these two images. I've got the scene of like jazz type feel inside of the club, and then I have this person who's like an AI influencer to see what they look like, okay? In the jazz club scene, change the singer to be the subject that's in the second photo. Ensure to maintain the identity and facial features of the new subject that we are putting in the photo when we swap the singer, but dress them up into an outfit that goes with the scene. All right. Again, remember, I use voice dictation. I don't know if you saw what I did. I'm trying to describe what we're doing here. Let me zoom in so you guys can see a little bit closer, okay? I've got the scene of the jazz musician. I want to swap her out. And I'm saying in the jazz club scene, change the singer to be the subject that's in the second photo. Sometimes these AI models do better when you call them a subject, okay? You don't have to, and try to avoid naming a particular person. Ensure to maintain the identity and facial features of the new subject that we are putting in the photo when we swap the singer, but dress them up in an outfit that goes with the scene, all right? Let's see what this comes up with. Now, what I'm doing right now, let me just do a little bit higher quality. Actually, we don't need it. We could just go 1K. I'm going to do landscape because we want this for widescreen, 16:9. And let's go ahead and hit generate. Now, I have to put these details in there because you've got to be clear when you're talking with AI and you're prompting of what you want, what you don't want, okay? Usually when you explain what you want, it's very clear, but if you know that sometimes it can get things wrong, or you try something and it did something you didn't want to, that means you got to tell the AI a little bit more like, hey, this is what I want you to do, but please don't do X. What's great about this is that you could actually upload up to 14 different images. You could put like a location. If you have like 3 different people that you want inside of the scene in the video, you can upload 3 different people's pictures, okay? So what's cool about this is that you can mix and match different photos and images in order to create the right scene that you're trying to accomplish. So let's see what this happens when we swap out the character. And by the way, I'm going to pull up the original image so you guys remember what that looks like. This was the character that we created for the scene inside of the kind of jazz club-ish type vibe. And we're replacing her with this person just to see what it'll look like and see how we can replace people inside of images. And that's what's generating right now. All right, you guys see that? This is how you can swap out people inside of your scenes and images. So if we generate a bunch of visuals and you're like, wow, this is awesome, but I need the person to be me or another person or a character that you're coming up with, okay? This is how you do it, right? I mean, look at this. This is her, right? Obviously more chill, comfy clothes inside of the living room. But when she dresses up and goes on stage, looks a lot different, doesn't it? It's still the same person. You could see that here. Same glasses, right? And again, we look at the swap, right? Let me zoom in on this one. What was that? Hold on. There we go. You've got her, and this was the original. Check it out. Everything else in the scene pretty much stayed the same. Look at that. So this is how you can change it. Now, if you're like, great, now this was the character or the person that I wanted to be inside of my visualizer. Now I need to turn this into a video. I'm going to click this pencil icon. It's going to remix this particular image. And now we want to turn it into a video. So I'm going to click right here, Canvas video. It might say motion video later, but let's click on that. And if you see what it's doing now, it loaded my video right here. And I'm going to delete this. She's performing a jazz song inside of this scene. That's it. I'm just kind of like telling it what she's doing and what we want it to do. Now, you could give it a short prompt of what you want her to do. Or if you click our little magic icon, we will analyze the entire image for you. Okay, I'll just click on it. We're going to analyze the entire image. And based on the image, we will draft the prompt of how to turn this into a video. You don't have to know how to do that. So if you have your image, upload it in here, just push that button, let our AI turn that into a video. Okay, you see that here? It put it all together. It told it what the camera works, like if I analyze this, the camera language, the lighting, the performance details, everything. Okay, but if you want to have total control, type whatever you want, okay, of how you want to animate it. Perfect. So we got that. I'm going to go ahead and turn that into a canvas and click generate. So now we're going to allow this to generate the video. By the way, you could reframe. So if you guys saw here how I accidentally turned it into a vertical, I could just remix this again into a video just like that. And instead, what I'm going to do is come down here. I'm going to select 16:9 now. Okay. So when I do the aspect ratio 16:9, it's got it in here. It'll now, I'm going to say reframe this image for a landscape layout or a scene because this is actually a video. So I'm going to say reframe this scene for a landscape layout. So I'm putting a vertical image and now I wanted to turn it into a landscape layout and I'm going to go ahead and hit generate. So I've got two videos right now that we're reframing and now I got one video that we took that we are now changing the performer. So you could see we've got many different visuals that you could use for music. Take your back catalog. It's always going to come up with something new. Every song we drop in here. Just look at these. Again, you can prompt it with the exact scene that you want. You give it as little or as much detail as you want. You could just give it the vibe and let it try to come up with it for you. You can upload your song and let our AI analyze it to come up with these prompts automatically for you. I mean, look at this scene with electronic dance music. Like you could just say, I've got an electronic dance song and I need a visual that's going to go with it. Right? And so again, be as specific as you can if you're looking for a very specific result. But if you're trying to ideate and come up with ideas, this is a great way to do so. You could have multiple of these running in the background. So if you've got like 100 different videos you want to make, just keep dropping them in here, having them all, making each one individually, let them run in the background and then come back after you grab a cup of coffee and you can take a look at all the visuals that you're making for your music. Now let's take a look at the one that we reframed. Look at this. Now I just said to reframe. I didn't tell it what I wanted the rest to look like. So, in this case, it populated multiple people, but you could see what it did. It kind of made up what the rest of the scene would look like instead of just vertical. Now, if you want to get more accurate results with reframing, reframe first as an image. Once you have the image the way you want it, then turn it into a video. Okay. That is always going to give you much better results. So everything I showed you today, it works. You saw the visuals that we created, right? You saw these different scenes. I didn't make an image first. I just went straight from text to video, right? But often, and I talk about this a lot, if you have the time, like you're going to get better results if you do the images first, capture the exact scene the way you want it, then take that image and turn it into a video like we did with the one that I showed you earlier. Here's the other one with the hip hop. You see this scene right here? Look how it's turning. Look, it evolved from that spot now going into the street. I didn't even tell it to do it exactly like this. I just said reframe. I kind of allowed it to come up with the idea of what it was going to do for this particular scene. But again, if I reframed the image first, turned it into an image, figured out what the scene was going to look like, then it would have yielded a different result but I mean, this came out pretty cool. Anyways, what do you guys think? Let's look at the other one that just generated. So you see how this works, not just with images and videos that look realistic. It could work on stuff that's like anime or cartoonish, or again, animated 3D. It doesn't matter. It could be geometrical. And remember, I'm using 3.1 Flash. I do this to experiment, to try to get to see different options. Sometimes you'll get even better results in the quality and the frames if you use regular VO 3.1. Actually, a lot of times you'll get better results because it's going to take more time to render, to generate the video. It's going to go step by step. So you'll get a lot higher quality results. But when you're experimenting and testing, right, it saves on credits, helps you to go faster and figure out what you want. You could go with Flash, okay? So always keep that in mind. You've got Flash and you've got the high resolution one, the regular VO 3.1. All right, I just want to make sure I show you what this one looks like before we jump off for the day. And this one right here, remember, we swapped her out. We put a new person in the character and check it out. And there you have it. That's how we could swap out a person. We changed the person in the image. We pulled in a different character. If you remember what she was, here we are, right? We brought her in. We said, hey, let's put her inside of this video. We swapped out the character. You had her. We said, put her inside of it. And that generated this video that you're seeing right here. And that's how you could swap. You could swap any person. You could do an upload of yourself or one of your artists if you're trying to create the content, or make up a completely different person or an AI character. And here's how it looks. So again, don't forget, you can check it on our site if you're already in our community, or just shoot me an email. You can find us on our site with the chat bubble. And again, if you're a label distributor, you want to demo this to your team and bring it on board, go ahead and book a demo on our site. I'd love to kind of walk you and your team through it. And visuals are something that are extremely important. So definitely don't miss out on it. The economics just never made sense until now. Nobody was going to commission a video for every album track from back in 2014. Think about the traditional production costs. It's a losing bet, but AI changes the unit economics completely. You could create a visualizer for a fraction of the cost, which means that it's finally viable to build these visuals for an entire catalog and not just singles. AI is not just to redo music, okay? Forget that. We are focused on actually the business and the monetization aspect of music, and these visuals are there to help you get there. I'm Sebastian Mourra, the CEO and co-founder of Visuals. If you ever need anything at all, please don't ever hesitate to reach out. If you're watching us on YouTube, please, please, please go ahead, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit like. I want you to subscribe. It just helps the algorithms. The algorithms love it. It shares it with more people. I want other artists and labels and everyone to be able to see this. So hook me up. Thank you all. I love you. Appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, everyone.